When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching Septum Sin vs. the World. I'm Septum Sin, I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
And we're here to show you what they got.
Yep.
Well, one thing that we do know for certain, there is no Gundam.
Oh.
But
There is a lot of anime, though.
here are a few things that you might have some interest in. A lot this week, isn't there?
Right, right.
Criterion actually did come out with one this week, and it's a special one.
Yeah.
And that's Blue Velvet. Now that is... I actually am tempted to get this one, even
Me
though I
too.
do have an edition.
I think I have that edition.
I mean, this is what the MGM collection looks like, and it's got some decent
Yeah.
special features for what it doesn't look like it would have special features. It looks plain as day, but you can see there's a lot of special features on this disc. And I really am eager to see what Criterion will do with it. You are familiar with how my father would torture me with certain movies growing up.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture, to torture, to torture, to torture.
Like Crumb.
Yes.
There were a few others that Sid and Nancy.
Yes.
But I still can't bring myself to watch that one again, so I wouldn't get that one. But this is one, I don't know what it was, but he loved Dennis Hopper's character
Yeah.
in this. He was fascinated with the character.
I think a lot of people were fascinated with that character.
And I ended up having to watch it probably about 15, 20 times.
Jeez.
And
I've probably seen it twice.
he had this picture. I was like, yeah, this whole bluebird thing that they focus on at the end, and it's like, look how fake that bird is. And he said that every time. Well, if you see it at the end, you tell me how fake the bird looks to you. But I'll probably be getting this on the Criterion. Essentially, it's about love.
David Lynch style.
And madness. Lots of madness.
Like I said, David Lynch style.
It's safe. It's very safe.
And I think I will leave it at that.
You know, for kids.
If you have not seen Blue Velvet, you really should see it. It is a classic. I do recommend it, and it is long overdue for the Criterion treatment, as is a lot of David Lynch.
You know, for kids.
Yeah, he's slowly but surely getting his stuff put out by Criterion. I know there's Mulholland Drive already, and there's probably there's a couple others, but yeah, this is he's an odd duck, that's for sure.
Indeed.
So next up is another high-profile one that I don't think either of us have seen yet, but we want to. We both have it.
I need to take that with me to watch.
This is a very highly acclaimed film from the past year that we both have spoken about on here. Makyo, When the Promised Flower Blooms. This, of course, is the edition that is already out that we both own. But this week, they are putting out a limited edition, special edition copy, courtesy Right Stuff and 11 Arts, their partnership. They're putting out a very nice deluxe edition with a price point of $80. So if you did see the film and loved it, and you are willing to shell out big bucks for a movie, this is a really awesome opportunity to show your support for it. I have very high hopes for this, but it takes a lot for me to pay that much for a movie.
And this is what it looks like.
Oh, yes, right. It looks cool. Yes, it looks fancier than this. And granted, this version has almost no special features, so it's if you want any sort of special features, you might want to go for the new one, but
they're a rare thing in anime.
They tend to be, yes. Or when you do get them, it's usually something like, I think this one does have an art book, right? And like that kind of stuff, That's
usually, they like physical special features more than anything else.
All right.
Well, something not quite as artistic. Well, I guess you could say it's artistic in a way.
You could say this is the American Gundam.
And that's South Park Season 22. I think I've seen some episodes in this season, but I can't tell you.
I have.
I've watched a couple of the more recent stuff on Hulu. I've got up to 23-ish, in the 20s. And so, I mean, I've got them all the way up through Season 21. I wait until they're about $10, and then I buy them. Because they usually are like 10 episodes or 12 episodes a season. They're not very big seasons. And South Park goes by very quickly. Even if it's crap, it goes by quickly. So it's kind of fun, and I'm amazed that this show is going on as long as it does.
You know, for kids.
If you had told me back when this debuted that it would be on its like 23rd season right now with no end in sight, I'd look at you like you were crazy.
Well, there's a very simple reason for it. Merchandising.
Where the real money from the movie is made. But if you haven't seen South Park, I don't know. It's like saying, have you seen The Simpsons? No?
Inconceivable!
Even if you haven't seen it.
If you're speaking about it as a whole...
Well, okay, as a whole, but most people haven't seen The Simpsons as a whole either.
Garbage day! Huh? No!
But, you know, it's like The Simpsons, and even if you haven't seen it, you've heard of it.
It's a behemoth.
It is indeed.
Yes. All right. Speaking of crap that goes by quickly, and that's probably went longer than anyone expected, this week we're seeing a lot of re-releases this week. Maquia and Blue Velvet are just like the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of re-releases, and a couple of them are from Funimation's Essentials line. At least one of them fully deserves that moniker, and we'll get to that, but the other one is debatable.
Attempted murder. Now, honestly, what is that? Do they give a Nobel Prize for attempted chemistry?
This week sees the re-release of Season 2 of the show called Maken-Ki Battling Venus, which we watched the first episode, and he's obviously completely forgotten it. I only barely remember it.
I purposefully blanked it out.
And I generally mistake this series. I think it was the same season. It came out, I think, the same season as Senran Kagura, and I really mixed the two up in my mind. They're both about battling babes with boobs.
Boobies!
That's pretty much the way it's, that's what our target demographic generally is the teenage boys.
Gentlemen, Chicolini here may talk like an idiot and look like an idiot, but don't let that fool you. He really is an idiot.
But from what I remember, it was disposable but fun.
For kids.
Yeah, but if you were interested, it's now part of the Essentials line. And according to Funimation, that means you must get it.
Buy all our playsets and toys!
God. Nothing essential about that. Well, a classic is returning in a nice little package.
Wow.
It is a fairly long series, numbering in, I want to say, let's see, there are 45 episodes to be exact.
Sounds about right.
And we're talking about the 12 Kingdoms. The 12 Kingdoms is, again, it's one of those taking place during that period, Warring States type period. Actually, wait, no, more than that. I believe this is a Chinese period. But, again, reminds me a lot of something like Fushigi Yugi,
right.
Things like that in those time periods, but I believe this is this is not so mystical, but it still involves a typical high schooler being sucked into the, 12 Kingdoms period.
It's been a while since I looked at this. Does this one, you said the Chinese connection, does this one have anything to do with that old Journey to the West story, or is this, I forget?
I don't. See, it's been so long since I've wanted to see this, and it was so hard to get originally because it was out of print. And you could get like one or two of the volumes, and then the other one was expensive. And then they came out on Blu-ray. It went on sale, and I got it.
I have a couple of the DVD volumes, yeah.
But, one, I think that the other one's probably going to be about that thick, so you're going to be saving. And the DVD volumes are thicker than this.
Let me have a look at these. These are nice little sets.
They are nice little sets, aren't they?
And this was, were these actually released this way by Anime Works? Isn't that something?
Take a look to show some of the art off.
I know Anime Works was definitely the first one. Yeah, there's
show that art off in the front. That's
if we can see it.
And the pictures up front. That is pretty nice, isn't it?
Yeah, they do have nice looking covers. And that's a very...
But you can get it all in one package, which is a nice thing. So, and she's, I think, our main character. Of course, the high school girl sucked in to there.
Of course.
There is actually another one that's related to Fushigi Yugi that I really want. And I can't think of the title of it right now, but I read the manga for it. Very similar lines of it, but it's incredibly expensive because it's only released in like the 2 to 3 episode volumes, and they're out of print.
I still need to get the OVAs to Fushigi Yugi, talking about related to Fushigi Yugi. Even though I hated Ekoden, I still need it.
And by the way, if you haven't, get Fushigi Yugi. There's no reason for it because it is still in print.
It is awesome. It was Media Blasters.
I can't remember. I've got the original release, so...
Yeah. I have the newer release of the series. But anyway...
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
My next 3 are actually going to be new. But the next one is a movie that I do have on my list at the library, my list to get. And I hope you'll pardon me for a moment. I apparently have to turn my ringer off on my phone.
Oddly complimentary, Your Highness.
Oops.
Yeah, well, sometimes we just gotta do what you gotta do.
There we go. So, this is a movie that caught my attention. It came out early this year. It apparently got...
Is that the horror film?
Well, sort of. It's a psychological
Yeah.
thriller. It's called Greta. And it stars Isabel Huppert as a lonely widow and Chloe Grace Moretz, who's someone who tries to help her out and has cause to regret her decision. From what I understand, Huppert, how do you, is it Huppert? I should know. She's like French royalty, but I don't speak French, so my apologies. She supposedly is downright awesome in the movie, and Moretz is always great. I mean, I think she's great, but from what I understand, the movie itself was, but I'm still curious. I'm still wanting to see it, and definitely for those of you who are into psychological thrillers and kind of creepy sort of suspenseful dramas, this should be a good one to look at.
Yes, indeed.
Uh-huh.
Well, we are following this with a continuation of sorts.
Hey, Mr. Larson.
We've got a cat coming. So, when we're talking about continuations, let's talk about the series Tokyo Ghoul. It's a fairly good series. The second season was iffy and ended in a very strange... No, this is 3.
Oh, okay.
So this is Tokyo Ghoul Re Part 1. And you know how they do.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping this gets a better continuation. I really didn't like the sequel to Tokyo Ghoul's ending, so I'm kind of hoping that they fix some of the stuff with this. But I'm not buying it for $50 for half a season.
Who'd have thought the mentally disturbed had this much money?
That's Aniplex pricing right there, almost.
Yeah.
Not quite, but it's getting there.
Not quite. No.
But you know, it is sad.
It is.
But I'm a patient man, and I know that certain ones will wait for it. I think Viz is it Viz or is it Funimation? I cannot remember.
I cannot remember myself. I think it's Funimation.
Is it? I don't know. It's hard to tell. It looks like Funimation from the cover.
I think it is.
But with Funimation, if you're patient and it's a popular enough series, it will be released as a whole.
I'm sure if they're still doing the Essentials line when Tokyo Ghoul finishes up, they'll put it on that line.
Maybe, which would be worthwhile.
Yeah.
But that's all I got to say about that.
Well, speaking of continuations, I'll go ahead and skip ahead slightly. For those of you who have been following the series Outlander, Season 4 is coming out. I have not been, but I wish to. It's very popular at the library. It looks really good. I think it's based on books by Diana Gabaldon, if I remember correctly.
I have no clue.
It's very, very, very popular series, and I'm curious. But again, if you're already collecting it, you're probably eagerly waiting this already.
So, the next one is another condensation, but they've already done this once, but I guess it's another re-release of it. And this is a Sentai re-release on Blu-ray of the Kampfer series, and that includes, you know, your standard Kampfer, and the Kampfer OVA right here. Ferro di Libe.
Yeah.
So, you know, Kampfer is an interesting series. It is a series about battling maidens. And the main character is a guy. But when the person does the magical transformation, he too becomes a maiden. Which, as you can see, is this one here. That is her. When it's a her. And let's see here if they've got... I'm sure they got a... Okay, well, I guess they thought nobody wants to see a picture of the actual guy character.
Sentai has a very bad habit of playing up fan service on their cover art.
I'm trying my best to see if they have a picture of the actual guy, but
I don't think they do.
I don't think... Oh, wait, they have a little itty-bitty one. Let's see if I can focus it in on him. You can see him maybe a little bit out of there, but there he is with the little collar on. And what's funny is the girl that he likes is a lesbian.
Ah.
And she does like him, but only when he is a she.
Ah.
Remember battling boobies genre? This is one of those. But it is a fun battling boobies genre.
You know, for kids.
This is one of the old guard in that genre, is it not?
And the main things that I find the most entertaining are these little stuffed animals here. You can see like this dog, the cat, and the rabbit, because they're all these unfortunate stuffed animals that are like Harry style animals where they've got their guts ripped out. And
oh, lovely.
There, so you got like the stuffed guts for them. And it is something.
And now for something completely different.
If you like battling booby shows, this is a show for you. You can get it all condensed.
Speaking of shows that are something, the next series is one that actually caught my attention when it was streaming. I didn't actually watch it, but I remember seeing the reviews on ANN and kind of skimming some of them, and they seemed positive. And the basic outline that I read seemed amusing. And this is the show Chios School Road. Now, apparently, from what I understand, this is a slice of life series about a cute schoolgirl doing cute schoolgirl things, but instead of being like the typical we're in a club or something like that, where it takes place after school, at school, or something like that, this one takes place on the way to and from school.
Interesting concept.
So it's you see a little bit of that every now and then in shows like Daily Lives of High School Boys and stuff like that, but you don't see it very often. So it's a nice change of setting, if nothing else. And I know not everyone likes slice of life series. I like them. I think they're fun. And especially when you like the characters. I haven't seen the show to know if I'll like the characters, but if I do, it will be a worthwhile watch. It is on my radar. It is one I'm interested in, but I'm probably going to wait until I forgot to see who was releasing this one, but I'll probably wait until it goes on sale for around $15 or so. But
speaking of ones I don't remember what were the releases, there's a show called Junji Ito. It caught my eye because it's a horror series. Again, based off of Japanese horror stories. I don't know much more than that, but I like horror, and I like to try and check out most horror anime. So I will be checking this one out.
Alright. I know the name. That's all I know about it. I recognize the name.
Yep. That's why you could see how long my...
So, I'm going to wrap things up here with another one that really is a very much an important one.
It will be mine. Oh, yes. It will be mine.
We started with an important one, and we're going to end with an important one. And this is one Funimation release that actually is an essential release for anime. And their essentials on this week, they are re-releasing the series Eden of the East. This is the older, simpler version.
Actually, like I said, I don't think it can get much cheaper than when I got it for that.
Yeah, you lucked out on the pricing. I got it about a similar price. I think I paid more for the movies, though. I think you got the movies cheap. And does this release have the movies? It doesn't.
I think it's just I think it's just the series.
So basically, Eden of the East is from a lot of the same creative team behind Ghost in the Shell standalone complex and the later film Napping Princess. And a lot of the art, you can see similarities in the art between this one and Napping Princess in particular. And I always thought it had a tiny bit of a Honey and Clover vibe, a little bit with the art.
And the main character definitely.
Yeah, some of the art does. And it is a really, really good show. Much like Standalone Complex, it's a paranoid thriller where there's a big conspiracy afoot and the people have to work around it. If I remember correctly, the basic gist of it is this dude wakes up naked with nothing but a cell phone and no idea how he got there. And it turns out that he is part of a game where I think it's pretty much like he has to be the last one standing, if I remember correctly.
They were the first. That's the first time when I watched this, the first time I ever heard the term NEAT.
Right. And if I'm remembering correctly, isn't the basic premise similar to what they used later in Future Diary? I feel like it was some similarities.
It's been so long since I've watched these.
It's been a while since I've seen them too. And the one downfall to this series, it's a minor one, but it is you do need to watch the movies because they continue and conclude the story. If you just watch the series, you will be left without the end of the story.
I wonder if they'll do an Essentials release with both movies packaged together.
That would be worthwhile. It would be cool. But even so, the Essentials does put this at a better price point than you've been getting, probably, unless you're lucky like he was. And if you don't have it in your collection already, this is an essential.
Actually, the story for that's funny because he came across it, showed it to me, and then regretted it afterwards.
I did. Like I said, I was able to get it at a reasonable price, but it wasn't quite as cheap as he did.
Well, with that being said, we've had a pretty long run today.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave you all with that special thought. And we will see you on the next one. Goodbye.